Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and this is a major breaking news. That is India-US trade deal signed. And let's talk about it, what's going on, because both parties have agreed to lots of things, but we're gonna see what is the President Trump's version and what is Prime Minister Modi's version, and what exactly is there going on. And what's down the line that we are going to see when the deal is signed and what's going to happen in the future. Okay, let's talk about it. It's not going to be a very long video, 10-15 minutes. Please stay with me till the end. Please do like and subscribe, and let's get going. Okay, now first thing first is that let me open my pen. Okay, so what happened is this, that President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, between them. So President Trump actually made a call to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and then they had a talk. And then finally, they decided to sort out the differences and sign the deal, give the deal a go ahead. Now, as far as the call is concerned, let me give you the context. Context wise, Howard Lutnick, okay, the Secretary of Commerce, America's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, he said in few days ago, or I would say a couple of weeks ago, he made a statement in the media that on a podcast actually, that Prime Minister Modi was supposed to call President Trump, but Prime Minister Modi didn't call, so because of that, a deal wasn't signed. And basically, that's what he was trying to twist this whole thing around and make it look like it's Prime Minister Modi's fault or something. Okay, but the reality, I think, is right now in front of us, and President Trump made the call and showed that he's the bigger man or whatever, right? And I think that's what the two friends do. That is what matters at the end of the day. So what exactly President Trump said and what Prime Minister Modi said, let's talk about that. All right. So President Trump made a call. It was an honor to speak with Prime Minister Modi of India this morning. He is one of my greatest friends and a powerful and a respected leader of his country. We spoke about many things, including trade. Hold on a second. Oops, sorry. All right. So, we spoke about many things, including trade and ending the war with Russia and Ukraine. He agreed to stop buying Russian oil and to buy much more from the United States and potentially Venezuela. Now, here's the thing, guys, okay? Number one thing is that stop buying Russian oil does not mean that India is gonna totally make it zero. Okay, that's number one thing. Number two thing is that India will never stop buying Russian oil as such, simply because of the logistics and everything else. There is a lot that goes on into the oil trade. All right, and India has built the whole entire the trade corridor and all that with Russia, so they're not going to really walk away from that. Okay, money was invested into it for a reason. Now, why President Trump is then saying that India will stop buying the Russian oil? See, here's my theory. Okay, here is my theory. My theory is that in the back channel talks, where clearly President Trump is not present, the people are present, people who actually have the influence over President Trump and Prime Minister Modi and whatnot. Okay, so in the back channel talks, people said that, hey, all these traders, basically the businessmen, billionaires who actually work behind the scenes to really make sure that deals are signed, they probably discussed it. They were like, okay, hey, these two lovebirds are sitting there doing nothing. I'm not signing the things. It's impacting the trade. What we should do? They were like, okay, let's do this. Let's create a background that India is not going to buy Russian oil. India doesn't have to stop buying the Russian oil. Just some drop, a gradual drop in the numbers, so that we can say that, yeah, India is not buying Russian oil now. And that's the kind of theory, that's the kind of background image or narrative was created. And if you look into it, that's why probably Scott Bessent has been saying over the media, then Howard Lutnick also has been saying, oh, India is stopping to buy Russian oil, India is stopping Russian oil, that purchase of Russian oil. Reuters also published all that, right? All that good stuff happened. So because all that, So that's why probably President Trump is saying this. Now, what Prime Minister Modi is told that, hey, when the call happens and he asks that, hey, are you stopping to buy Russian oil? Just say yes, 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 we are stopping it. You're not gonna purchase that anymore. And I think the whole thing comes from there. All right, that's my theory. Now, coming back to the thing, to buy much more from United States and potentially Venezuela. See, India has always purchased oil from Venezuela. It's nothing new. Okay, even during the President Trump's first term, India was buying Venezuelan oil. It was light crude because India needs petrol, and that's why. Okay, now so that's gonna happen. Now this will help end the war in Ukraine. Once again, Russian oil, buying Russian oil has nothing to do with Ukraine war. It's simply the deep state behind the Ukraine that is protecting Ukraine all over the place, and they're providing all that help and all that thing, so called. That's the main reason. There are people who are profiting from it. They want this war to continue. It's that simple. Now, which is taking place right now with thousands of people dying each and every week. Now, this man actually wants to go and whack Iran, but he's worried about Russia-Ukraine war. So, out of friendship and respect for Prime Minister Modi, and as per his request effective immediately, we agreed to a trade deal between United States and India, whereby the United States will charge a reduced reciprocal tariff, lowering it from 25% to 18%. Oh, by the way, this is less than what Pakistan is being charged right now. That is 19%. All right. So Pakistanis don't have to feel good about themselves because they were laughing a few days ago. Okay. Anyways, so if this is effective immediately, now this is reciprocal tariff, and then all other tariffs that are there, like the tariff for buying Russian oil and all that, that's gonna be zero. That's at least my understanding. Otherwise, things are not gonna move forward. And they will likewise move forward to reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers against the United States to zero. So, tariff between India and US, I think it's a fair enough deal, and this should have been addressed like this from the get go, because US has been ripped off by other countries due to all these trade imbalance and all. But then again, if we talk about it in all fairness, that's how the dollar system, the petrodollar system, was created. That's how US actually kept the they kept a fiat currency in the market, because they agreed that, okay, we are going to take this trade imbalance, and that's how they're gonna manage the dollar recycling. But that dollar recycling is shrinking over the period of time due to the weaponization, and many other reasons are there. But it's not de-dollarization. So anybody who thinks that it's gonna be de-dollarization, forget about it. Now, the Prime Minister also committed to buy American at a much higher level, in addition to over $500 billion of US energy, technology, agriculture, coal, and many other products. So what this term here is he's sort of misleading it. Now, I talked about this thing, India-US trade deal, in the past, okay? And so this whole $500 billion term that's coming is that the initial plan for India and US to take this trade was $500 billion in next 5 years. That is by 2030. That was the whole idea. Okay. So President Trump, when he's saying this thing, that's what he actually means. At least that's my understanding of it. Okay. So $500 billion is not coming out of thin air. So India and US are going to increase their trade by $500 billion in next 5 years. And there were some people let me just take it back. Okay, there are certain confusions are that the world is de-dollarizing, and economy is going to go do this and that, dollar is shrinking, dollar is gone, this, that. I seriously doubt that, guys. With $500 billion trade, that's gonna happen. That is on paper. I know that for a fact. Okay, China is doing trade of $600 billion per year with the United States. You really think that dollar is going anywhere? Tell me that. I mean, you cannot find this kind of magnitude, this level, this number right there with anybody any other trade partner that India has. Okay, I have looked into India New Zealand trade free trade agreement. I have completely looked into India Australia free trade agreement. I have looked into India Oman trade agreement. I have looked into India UAE trade agreement. I have looked into India UK trade agreement, and I have looked into India European Union trade agreement too. And I have looked into India and Mercosur, that is with the South America trade agreement as well. And I can tell you this, only thing that comes closer to that kind of potential is the India and European Union trade deal. That's about it. Nobody else even comes closer. If I start to give you the number, you'll be surprised. And so anybody who thinks that that the US is on the decline and this and that and all that thing, doesn't matter what you say, and none of that matters. The reality is that uh, these are major economies. Okay, these are major economies. These are great powers. They have lots and lots of resources at their leverage, and lots of human capital is involved. So saying that it's just gonna go downhill and by 20-30 dollars is going to crash and this and that, none of that is gonna happen. Okay, only thing that's possible is that maybe because of CBDCs, the trade in national currencies will continue. Okay, and but dollar is not going to lose its value as a reserve currency. Dollar is gonna be there, and things are gonna keep going. Just now, a few days ago, Chinese were like, "Hey, we want our currency to be reserve currency too." Nah, I think world is good enough right now. All right. Anyways, let's move forward. Our amazing relationship with India will be even stronger going forward, of course. So, because I think for majority of Indians, US is a second home away from home. So, uh, I don't see any point in ruining this relationship. In fact, right now, I believe that lots and lots of Americans are going and living in India too. Prime Minister Modi and I are two people that get things done, something that cannot be said for most. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's what President Trump said. All right. Now, now let's look at what Prime Minister Modi is saying. Wonderful to speak with my dear friend President Trump today. Delighted that made in India products will now have a reduced tariff of 18%. He agrees that the tariff part is correct. All right. Big thanks to President Trump on behalf of the 1.4 billion people of India for this wonderful announcement. When two large economies and the world's largest democracies work together, it benefits our people and unlocks immense opportunities for mutually beneficial cooperation. President Trump's leadership is vital for global peace, stability, and prosperity. India fully supports his efforts for peace. Now, you notice this thing is very carefully worded here. Okay, now 18% tariff and $500 billion. These are two authentic things. Okay. Now, if you notice, there's nothing about Russia-Ukraine war or any such thing is mentioned. India fully supports his efforts for peace, and peace, prosperity is needed, all the good stuff. I look forward to working closely with him to take our partnership to unprecedented heights. Meaning that now, I think after all this, with 18% and all that, I think they're going to start increasing India and US mutual trades accordingly. Now let's talk about one other thing, very important part of it. Okay, before I wrap up. Agriculture right here, if you notice, this right here is the major problem. Okay, what happened is that India had slapped 30% tariff on US pulse. So that actually had an impact on two states. One was Montana, other one was Maine. I think that those were the two states. I don't remember actually. One was Montana for sure, and those two senators, they were in India to negotiate all this, that hey, please don't impose tariffs on these things, otherwise our farmers will suffer, and this and that, all those things were happening. Okay, and considering that soybean was impacted as well because of Chinese tariffs and all that, Chinese simply dropped the order. So since Chinese dropped the order, soybean farmers are impacted, then with the pulse farmer being impacted, that is a serious vote bank, and midterm is coming. So the pressure was put on President Trump very clearly that you need to handle this business no matter what. So, and then other thing that happened is that Korea, okay. So President Trump had posted like few last year that they're going to sign a $500 billion South deal with South Korea. South Korea is going to invest $500 billion in the United States and this and that, all that, blah blah blah. But what happened is that when Korean Senate had to ratify it, they did not. They just simply rejected it. That it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen simply because even South Korea's GDP is not that much. I mean, 500, $600 billion probably around that. And if you look at their forex reserve and all, it's not that huge. South Korea has, at max, they have invested in the United States is give take between the two countries. The trade is $65 billion. To ramp up from $65 to $500 billion, it's not just easy thing to do, especially considering the size of South Korea. It is nothing against South Korea as such, but look at the South Korean economy, size of the South Korean economy, and how much can they absorb. Look at Japan. Why do you think Japan actually stagnated after 4 trillion? Japan wasn't gonna become 100 trillion or something. It's always, see, size always matters when it comes to economy. Size and natural resources, they all matter. Okay, and that's exactly what happened in this case as well. And India and US, they both countries need each other at this time, and I'm glad that this is sorted out. And but before I close, I can tell you that India is not going to stop buying Russian oil. They may reduce it from time to time here and there just to show that, hey, this is happening. And President Trump probably posted here, nobody's rejecting it. And after this, he's never even going to mention Russian oil. Okay, that thing is going to continue on unless something major happened between India and Russia that I'm not aware of, but I seriously doubt that. So anyways, guys, this is it for this video, and we will talk in another video. Take care.